Hey guys, what's growing? It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm, and as you can tell by my squinting, it's a sunny day. Super exciting. Sunny today, partly cloudy tomorrow, and then the rain returns. But that means there's a lot to do. In fact, walking through the gate this morning to come here, I was looking around and I kind of had that like, should I do this? Should I do that? But what really is important is taking the silage tarp off of the upper field today and getting those beds broad forked, and then putting as much compost as I can on top of the beds. Not as much compost as I can. I need about 1 inch on top of all the beds, but I don't know if I have enough over there in that leftover pile to do that. But we'll see. And the other thing is I cannot find gypsum anywhere. And I spoke to a couple of local businesses who usually supply it, and they said they haven't been able to get a hold of it for almost a year. So since I can't use that to add calcium to the soil without raising the pH, I'm just going to do the regenerative farming way, which is what makes most sense. And I'm going to make some more WCA, water-soluble calcium. I have all the eggshells already saved up. I will do that on the next rainy day at home and make that up. And then before I transplant, I will soak the seedlings in water with some WCA as well as some mycorrhizal fungi mixed in there. Then they'll get transplanted. So that at least will get calcium directly to the roots right away. And then I can follow up if I need to with soil drenches from a watering can with some WCA in it. That stuff is so concentrated that you really only need a teaspoon per gallon. So if I make a pint jar or a quart jar full of that stuff, it'll last for a very long time. It is shelf stable. So that's my plan. It doesn't really cost anything because I've already got the eggshells, and the only thing I need is apple cider vinegar, which I already have at home. So I'll show you guys how to make that. I did do a video on that previously, but and I can link that at the time, but I'll go over briefly how we do it. Anyway, so I'm going to go out and get the silage tarp off. I think I'm going to drag it to cover all this area back here beyond the perennial beds, which still desperately need to be weeded. It's like, I wish I could be in 30 places at once because right now there's so much to do. And I also have more mouse traps. And I can already see that they've been digging around in the lily bed. There's lots of little mouse tunnel holes in there. So I'm going to saturate that with water again to flush them out, and then set up all the traps, and then get started on the silage tarp. So that's next steps, and then we'll see how far we get. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have more time out here. So let's get started. That would have been way easier with 2 people, but it's done. So let's take a look. So I've uncovered the beds. They look good. I thought I was gonna have to broad fork, but they are so fluffy. I don't think I need to broad fork, or if I do, it'll just be like light. I did bring the tarp down here to cover this whole back area because I want to spend this season killing off all of these weeds out here. So This will stay covered probably the entire year. It doesn't matter. Everything under there is like hemlock and other horrible weeds. I think I'm actually going to run, well, first I'm going to, I don't know, try to run the hoe through here. But then I'm going to cover this area in landscape fabric as a walkway. It's just so dense. And as you can see, that's poison hemlock. It encroaches into the beds. It's really hard to deal with. And wood chips and straw just isn't going to keep it down. So I am not going to do that today, however. I won't have time. You can see how the wind is picking this up. So I need to add more bricks just all over it. Because even though this tarp is fairly heavy, we get really major winds here in the springtime. So I want to make sure that it does not blow off. So I'll toss a whole bunch more bricks on top of that. And there were, I don't know, I saw like 8 mice, maybe 8 adults, and then 1 giant honker, which I thought maybe it was a rat, but it had a short stubby tail, so I think it was a mouse. Anyway, they all went and ran and hid over there in the shrubbery. But yeah, plenty of mice, field mice. And so we've got the roly-polies here. That's all good stuff to see. When I tested this soil, it was really in good shape. The only thing it needed is some calcium. So like I said, I already have a plan for that since we can't get the gypsum. But this is what you want to see. There's still a little bit of detritus left on here that didn't totally break down. I'll just scrape that aside. But I need to remake these beds. So first I'm going to broad fork lightly because they don't really need it, just to aerate it a little bit since it's been underneath cover all, oh gosh, since October. And then I'm going to rake the beds into the shape I need them to be in. And then I'm going to start adding some compost. I don't think I'll get all of that done today, but we'll see. Wow, it's been a long time since I've been able to do that kind of physical labor. I'm tired. I still have to add compost to the one other bed, and I'll have time to do that today, but I don't think I'll have time to start using the rake to flatten the bed. So I'm really hoping that tomorrow, Friday, is the rain holds off until the evening, so I can at least get the beds made. And straw put in the pathways. It is a mucky mess. Even though that was all covered, there's been so much water that it's just everywhere. So a quick note about the Broad Fork. The top like 6 to 7 inches is really light and fluffy, but below that is still really hard. This ground was unoccupied for like 12 years, and it had like just kind of sat, and everything was really compacted hard when I got here. So when we tilled and Broad Forked the very first time, I couldn't get the Broad Fork in the ground at all. Like, it just kind of scraped the surface. So with the addition of compost last year, as well as being tarped for 5 months, what is that, October, November, December, January, February, March, yeah, like 5 months, 5.5 months. Oh, there's a bee. That's so nice to see. With the addition, oh, it's a pretty bee. It's like a little tiny bumblebee. Hi, buddy. With the addition of that, it has really improved that soil tilth. So I'm glad I Broad Forked it, because it did open up the soil a little bit. But what Broad Forking does is it's not tilling. It does have some impact on the soil, but it basically just opens up some channels to let air and water in, because healthy soil needs not only water, but oxygen. And so what you do when you Broad Fork is you're basically just kind of moving things around and lifting them up a little bit. You're not turning the soil structure over, which is what you do when you till. And so it doesn't destroy the mycelial networks. It doesn't kill earthworms and all that other stuff. It's a very gentle way to aerate your soil. I don't think Broad Forking is not something people have to do all the time. You get to a point where it's like the soil tilth is great, and you don't need to Broad Fork anymore. And I think we're getting close here, so that's good news. Okay, I'm gonna have a snack because I'm real hungry, and then I'm gonna get back to work, try to finish this sprinkling compost on this last bed before I head out to the demo. Well, that's really good timing. Just wrapped it up. The beds are made. I need to get straw, which I think I'll go do this afternoon so that I can get as many hours as possible out here tomorrow. Once I put the straw down, I will lay down the irrigation and test it and patch holes where necessary, and then I'll start planting. This middle row is going to be sunflowers, and I'm going to put those in like ASAP because they're getting really big in their trays in the greenhouse, and that's what the mice are going for the most. So I'm gonna get those in, and yes, there are field mice, and yes, they could go for those as well, but I'm gonna also get tomorrow more of that Repels All, because it works really well if you keep up with it, and I'll sprinkle that everywhere heavily, and then I'll have enough so that I can keep applying it after the rains. So also one thing I thought about, First of all, this is where I'm going to start with the weeding. I got to come in here and literally dig out all of these things. You can't touch them with gloves even. I can't explain to you how sharp those thistles are. They're awful. So I'm going to dig them up with a shovel. But I think when I was uncovering, I was realizing all of this over here, with the exception of some of this hemlock that I will literally dig up because it has a super long taproot. I think that I'm actually going to plant the first round of sweet peas here to climb up this fence. One, it'll look pretty, but two, for the most part, on this side of the fence, it's weed free, unlike the other bed down below that has a lot of grass and weeds that I need to deal with anyway. But that bed over there with the daffodils, that's going to involve a lot more weeding on the fence line before I can plant those sweet peas. So I think I'll start up here, get as many as I can. First, I will get rid of these hemlocks and stuff, but this is a weed-free area because it was tarped and everything died, which is the goal. So also super soft, fluffy soil here. I mean, it's great. So that's it for me today. Well, out here. I have other stuff I got to do this afternoon, but even though my back is killing me, it feels so good to be working in the soil again and actually be physically doing something. It's so great. This feels like a big accomplishment because now, basically, I'm ready to plant. I just need to, put the irrigation down and test it, but then also get the straw in the pathways. I mean, look at this mucky mess here. See that? Like stepping in that. Of course, that's how it is at home. Every pathway looks like that at home. Like a bunch of cows went through it. So I need to get those pathways fixed so that I can walk through there and not cause more damage. There's a very large spider crawling across the ground here. And then this area up here, I actually direct sowed a whole bunch of stuff and really not much at all came up. A few bachelor buttons I can see there, but the rest of it is weeds. And this was where this Three Sisters garden was last year. I think I'm going to do it again. It was very successful. This is a nice big area. And I loved it. It made me so happy. So I'll come in here. The nice thing about nothing really having taken is that I can come in here and be pretty ruthless getting the weeds up. These guys. So if you do see mushrooms in your soil, that's not a bad thing. That means that the fungal activity is good and there's lots of mycorrhizae under there feeding your soil microbes. So that's a good thing. All right, and then also a little view here. Even though I still need to weed this bed, look how pretty all the daffodils are and those beautiful calendula. I think that's the orange button variety. One more thing before I go. Look at the size of this stem of ranunculus. That comes up to my hip. That's like 3 feet tall. Insane. Totally crazy. So sometimes growing in a hoop house actually gives you taller stems because they have less strong sunlight, so they grow taller stems to reach the light. That's one of the benefits you can get from growing in a hoop house. And I think that ranunculus is a success in this hoop house. However, this bud, I don't know if it's ever going to open. It's been here for quite a while. Just keeps getting taller and taller. But you can see some of we've got the white varieties starting and also some of these beautiful pink ones. Yeah, I think it's going to be gorgeous in here soon. Oh, look, here's a red one. There's a mix in this bed here. We've got some yellow. Yeah, it's just going to be so great. I'm very excited because Monday is going to be my first. Oh, and also a beautiful thing to see. I'm so happy. This is more than one ladybird I've been finding in here. That is so great because they're going to keep down any aphid populations that I get. They just show up. Actually, this area is actually a fly-through area for migrating ladybirds. Last year, and I can't remember what month it was, maybe June, we were out here and the sky was literally full of them. At first we were like, are those termites? Like, what is it? And then we realized they were ladybirds and there were billions of them flying through. They were just flying through and it lasted all day. It was so awesome. So yeah, so they'll stop and stay. If I have aphids, they'll stop and stay when they do fly through. Yeah, so Monday is my first harvest for the first Rites of Spring CSA, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get the season started, and it finally feels like, even though I'm really low on filler, I'm good on focal flowers. So that's kind of more important anyway. All right, thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I'm going to head out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one.